Later than later.
Hello?
Hello.
Is anyone there?
Are we there? Yes, we're here.
We're here.
All right, sit back, make sure we're in here. Hey, look at that. We got it right at the first time. We're matching.
And we both have our fuzzy socks on.
Fuzzy socks. Fuzzy socks. I got a hole in my sock. Look at that. I got a hole in my sock. That's perfect. Coaches are people too.
Coaches are people too, with holes in our socks.
Holy socks!
He's gone through a lot of these guys.
So, her mom got me fuzzy socks. Was it last Christmas?
Last Christmas, I think. No, it might have been
my birthday. No, it was Christmas. It had been the Christmas before last Christmas.
The Christmas before last, yeah.
But not, yeah. And I've gone through all of them. These are the last ones. It's time for another pack of fuzzy socks. There was a period of time when I was working from home. My last job. There was a lot of at home time, and I would just wear socks instead of. Now I go to work every day in dress shoes.
You wear.
My dress clothes was what you see here, apart from the polo for when I had video calls.
Yeah, I used to do polos.
Polos and shorts, or polos and sweatpants, or polos and underwear on a meeting because they can only see from the neck up, right? So.
Yo, Courtney's on. Hey, Courtney. Good morning.
Let's see.
So shout out to my mom, by the way, about the fuzzy socks. So Mom, you know what to put on Bronson's gift list again.
Yes, I need more fuzzy socks.
More fuzzy socks.
So the topic for today is not our normal. We're talking about us.
Right.
Instead of talking about there's mindset. Everything we talk about is going to have mindset stuff
today. I think.
We're going to talk a little bit about us, what we're doing, things that are going on in our lives, because we're at a place in many ways that a lot of you are trying to get to, from a health perspective, from a lifestyle, habits. Like, we've done a lot of work, and we've been doing this for a long time. We are further along the health journey, but I want everyone to understand, and we've talked about this in the past, you are on this journey until the day you die. There is nothing about what we talk about, and one of our favorite phrases, say that 10 times fast, is everything is everything. What you learn how to do in building habits, facing challenges, identifying your context, setting your goals, focusing yourself, being disciplined, paying attention to your feelings. Feelings aren't like all of the things that we talk about when we talk about health and fitness apply to every aspect of your life. So one of the things that I realized recently, there's been a progression of my life and how things are changing and what I'm doing business-wise, self-development-wise, fitness-wise, things like that. And I want to talk about that a little bit. You're getting ready for your show, and you're realizing there's some challenges you've been facing.
I am 20 days out, y'all.
And there's some realizations that she's had.
This has been a very different prep in many ways.
So you have your story. I have how do you want to, because we can kind of go back and forth. You want to just kind of.
Yeah, let's just see what comes up, right? Like, because I think in some ways you're leaning out of things
or leaning into new things, different things. Right.
But the things you're leaning out of are kind of the things I'm leaning into right now. So that's kind of an interesting way we can talk about our favorite topic, which is context, right? Like, I've been talking a lot about, what do you really want? Because when you're struggling to make progress in an area, a lot of the time it is because you're really not in it. You're like 1 foot in, 1 foot out of the thing. And then it's like, just decide right now, do you want to be in or not? And if not, then step out. Yeah. Fully step out. And I'm challenging him on some things. You said you were going to step back, and then you want to lean in again, right? But it's
so hard.
if you're going to step out and actually step out of the thing for a little while. And then when you come back to it, you can come back full force.
Yeah.
If you're going to step in, go all in. And that's what I've been dealing with was earlier on in this prep, I just wasn't fully in. And how it feels now to be all in on something feels so amazing. And I'm going to see this through to the end. And then I'm going to go into the next season.
Yeah.
So
when did you realize you weren't all in?
You know what? I think it's when I hired my posing coach and I did my first posing session.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, it was a little bit before I started cardio. When I made the realization that it is time to lean into the thing that I have the most resistance to. Mm. So actually, that kind of happened twice for me. First, it was the cardio.
And then you started doing that consistently.
Then I started getting consistent with that and actually craving to do it and feeling good and enjoying the way it felt to do that regularly. And then the next level was, I'm having a lot of resistance to posing.
Oh, guys, the resistance was, I could feel it. Like the resistance was real. I'd be like, hey, have you posed recently? And it just, the facial, like everything, like the acknowledgement of, no, I haven't, and I don't really want to.
Like, getting closer.
Even though I know I need to.
I don't have time to be effing around like this. And then, so this, literally, I'm right now still in that first few weeks of leaning in and doing the uncomfortable thing. Mm-hmm. And it's still not comfortable for me yet because I haven't been doing it enough.
Yeah.
So, and it's even more uncomfortable because it's so close to the show, or normally I would have started posing a lot sooner. So it's adding more anxiety because of this deadline that's looming. And for some of you, that analogy would be your goal weight and the date that you wanted to hit that goal weight. And when you're not there, and then you're feeling this tug of war, I can speak to that a little bit because it's this, there's a thing I need to do to get there, and I'm feeling a lot of resistance to doing the thing that I need to do to get there.
Yeah.
What the heck is going on?
There's an aspect of a lot of different things that go into that, but what you started off this conversation with was the leaning into it. If you really want it, you got to decide that.
Are you in or out?
Are you in or out? And
it feels so much better to either be in or out,
guys,
than to be
oh my gosh,
1 foot in and 1 foot out. That is the exhaustion point, y'all. Those of you who are exhausted and burned out and frustrated, it's because you are halfway in.
It is. You are halfway in. You have not made the decision to do the thing.
We're not.
You want to do the thing. And guys, here's the difference. Acting on desire and acting on a decision are two different things. Oof. Two very, very different things. And that's one of the things that I've been struggling with for a long time. I have a lot of desires. I have a lot of ideas. I have a lot of things that I want to do. Don't giggle when I say that. There are a few of them that are at the top of the list, and understanding the amount of effort that it's going to take to get there. I'm realizing at this point in time, I do not want that effort. I do not want to have to do the things that are going to make those specific projects or those specific aspects of my journey that are going to get me there. I've got so many other things right now that I really feel are deeper important for me than my goals.
And that right there is the question of what is the priority right now.
Yeah.
First off, let's just talk about this little process right here, right? The process is acknowledge what it's going to take. And realistically.
That's part of making the decision. You can't make an uninformed decision. The decision has to be informed. What is it going to take? If you know what it's going to take and you're not willing to do it, then don't say you're going to do it.
Yeah.
You're lying to yourself, and then you can't trust yourself.
And what happens when you're in that in between is that you have convinced yourself that it's not that difficult, or it may not take what it really will take.
Yeah.
And so you're pissed off or upset that it's taking so much. It's actually not that much.
It's not that much.
If you were to just go
do
all
it.
in for a short period of time, you probably could.
Yeah, it's that whole
major moves.
Guys, it's that whole the zone. You get in the zone and you're working. You get in that hole and you could work for 8 hours, and then all of a sudden you've got all this stuff done. You've done more than you ever thought possible because you just sat down and did it.
Anybody who has ever procrastinated on any task, and eventually you got to the point where you had to do it, and you got it done, and you realized it took less time than you thought. It wasn't as scary or difficult as you thought.
And guys, the analogy literally, we were talking about this recently, the analogy literally is a lot of you are doing in your life what you used to do in elementary school when you didn't want to do your homework. Oh my God, I have to answer 15 math questions. This is horrible. It's going to take forever. I don't want to do it. I'd rather watch TV. I want to go play with my friends. I'd rather read a book, or can I color, whatever else. These questions are so hard. And then you sit down and do it. It takes you 30 minutes and you're done.
That's it. That's it. You're making
and you're making this whole big freaking thing
harder and longer than it needs to be.
So I'm at a point.
Yeah, let's talk about
where, so over the last 3-4 years, I've been doing a lot.
That's an understatement.
I have people tell me all the time, and this is one of the things, that I don't feel like I'm doing a lot. It's taken me, and this is a process she's been part of, it's taking me a while to recognize in myself how much I've been doing. And I think some of you guys are there too. You don't feel like you're doing a lot. This is just how you're used to living. You don't realize the stress that you're putting yourself through. And I'm realizing it now as I've stepped out of things, as I've cut back on things. I'm realizing, oh my gosh, I am so chill right now. Like the level of mental energy that I spend.
That's it. It's the mental energy.
It's harder to let go of that than to live in it right now.
It's like
once I make a transition, that will flip. But
being addicted to stress.
How many times a day do I go, oh my God, I have an idea. I want to do this. And she's like, I thought you said you were chilling out.
This morning,
literally an hour ago. There's so much, my brain, guys, I can't even.
You can't turn it off.
It's hard. I had an idea for a new book today that I'm like, ooh, I want to go write this.
It's the
and I could go. See, I want to talk about. I want to talk about this idea now. I'm just going to go all into this whole thing. But understanding, and this is what I alluded to earlier, that I need to do some things for me. So just a recap, okay? Over the last 4 years, 3 years, let's say, since 2021, since Keto Palooza, when I first spoke.
Me.
Since right before you.
Keto Palooza was right before you. Before we met.
I've spoken at least 4 or 5 times a year.
Yep.
I've written 2 books. I've started 2 jobs. Started one for a little over a year and a half or so, and then moved into this job.
Grew and monetized your YouTube channel.
Grew and monetized the YouTube channel from nothing to where it is today. Over 1,000 videos, guys. I have over 1,000, almost 1,200 videos on my YouTube channel. What else? I was part of a documentary.
Created the F2 method.
Created the F2 method, did a boot camp and the different programs there. Hired a coach. Became a lecturer for Nutrition Network.
Oh, yeah.
You got your multiple certifications, finished my bachelor's degree, started a master's degree.
My God.
There's a handful of things going, and that's on the surface. There's still other projects I have that are kind of ongoing, things that I'm going to keep working, but here's the thing. The other 3 or 4 or 5 projects that I had on the things I wanted to do in the upcoming year, I've had to acknowledge I need to chill out. I have to pull away. If you're in any of my programs, you see me on social media, you see that I haven't been posting on social media. Guys, I cannot, for any of you that do stuff on social media, I understand the process, the overwhelm that can happen. And here's the corollary for you folks that are not on social media, but are struggling with having to do something consistently every day that's challenging, like tracking your macros, writing down your workouts, journaling how you feel every day, whatever it may be. Oh my God, it's horrible. I can't do it every day. It's such a strain on my brain to think about it and remember to do it. Guys, as an influencer, as someone who's felt the stress of feeling the obligation to post every day,
Oof.
even though I didn't want to and didn't have anything on my brain to think about that I wanted to post. And then what picture am I going to use? What am I going to type? Like all of that stuff, guys. You know why it was so hard for me? Because I didn't want to do it. That's not where I want to be. I'm not trying to be an influencer. I want to be a coach. I realized that my journey right now is focused more on being an author and a speaker. I've spent the last 12 plus years coaching. That part of where I'm at is really what has gotten me to where I am and where I want to go. It's not where I want to be down the road.
And it's who you'll always be.
I will always, guys, I will always be Coach Bronson.
You will always
It's the way my brain works.
Not coach.
Coach and me
but it's about
are not separable.
Into your passion now is more on the education.
Yes.
You want to educate rather than work in the trenches with individual clients.
Because I feel like I can have a bigger impact helping other people and helping coaches. I want to educate coaches. And there's another direction that I want to go in. And having to understand that I need to step away from some things in order to focus on me. That's why I'm getting my master's degree, guys. I'm working a full-time job. I still work in IT. I do other stuff outside of this. And trying to post every day and make videos a couple times a week and think about the format. Like, guys,
And you know what I just remembered when I first moved in with you, I think it was then. That's when you stopped training people in person. You were still
I was doing in-person training. It's only been a couple of years since I kind of moved from that.
And that was a difficult transition to
It was hard. Yeah.
To finally pull that Band-Aid off and actually let that go.
Yeah, understanding, guys, that again, it's a different piece. I'm talking about posting on social media. For you, it may be tracking your food.
Ooh, yes.
But here's the thing.
Consider what the analogies could be. It could be.
I'm deciding not to do social media anymore because that's not helping me get where I want to go.
Because
if you decide that you don't want to track anymore, is it because you just don't want to track or because you've decided you don't want to go somewhere that tracking is going to get you?
That's it. What was the purpose? What is the purpose of the tasks, the things that are on your to-do list that are stressing you out? Why is it stressing you out? Is it because that direction is not the direction you need to be going in and you want to be going in?
Right.
Or is it because this habit is new for you?
Yeah.
This habit feels difficult because you haven't made it consistent and regular for you, which is why I want to talk. This is so perfect because we're in such different places.
But we're going through similar things, right? Because here's the deal. Here's the trap. Do you want the thing or do you just not want to do what's going to get you to the thing?
Yes.
And that's where we get into the trap. We get to that struggle, and then we go, I don't really want to deal with this. I didn't want that. I didn't want that anyways.
And the truth is, you really do want it.
You really do want that. You just weren't prepared.
You just don't want to do the work.
For what it's going to take to get there. And you have to decide, I want this. Acknowledge, I want it. It's not whether you want it or not. Do you want it enough
to do what's necessary?
The work?
Yeah.
That's the question. And if you are honest with yourself, that's where you're going to either add stress if you're dishonest, or remove the stress and figure out what you really do want and are willing to do. Because it's not just what are you able to do. It's not just what do you want to do. It's what are you willing to do. Ready, willing, and able. Those are the three things to understand.
And recognize something very important here. If you decide you're not willing,
say it.
Acknowledge and recognize that what you are saying is, I do not want it. Bad enough. I don't want it. By saying I'm not willing, I'm saying I do not want that. I want to stay where I am. I do not want that goal. Because you cannot want that goal and at the same time not be willing to do what it takes to get that goal.
Yep.
The truth is you don't want it, and you need to acknowledge that. You need to recognize how that feels when you say that to yourself. Because by saying, I don't want to track, I don't want to know what I'm eating, I don't want to know if I'm overeating, I don't want to go to the gym,
I don't want to log my workouts and track what I'm doing for weights and reps and all that other stuff.
What you are saying every single time you say that the action or the behavior that you don't want to do, what you're saying is, I don't want the goal. I don't want the outcome of what I'm trying to achieve by doing those things.
Yeah.
It is one and the same. So see how it feels in your body. When I challenge people to say these things to themselves, they recognize whether they really do want it or not. Mm-hmm. It's what he was saying earlier. If you're saying, well, yeah, I guess I don't want it, be with that and see how you feel when you say that. Because if I were to say to myself, you know what, I guess I don't want to get on stage in 3 weeks,
I'd be like, bullshit.
Like, I feel sick to my stomach saying that. There's no freaking way, after purchasing my flights, putting the deposits down on everything, paying for everything,
the clothes and the shoes and the hair and the makeup and the photo shoots,
gown and the suit and the photo shoots. There's no freaking way I'm eating all those costs.
Yeah, literally.
That's what I would be doing if I decided not
literally.
to do it. Because what's really happening there is I'm listening to this emotional brain that just wants to go back to the comfort zone.
Yep.
You know what? If I just don't get on stage right now, then I can eat more and I can stop doing cardio and I can veg out and watch TV and go back to my old life. That's what's really happening there. And the reason why it happens is because, y'all, I say this all the time to my clients. You were unhealthy, overweight, unfit, sedentary, longer in your life than you have been healthy, fit,
or even trying to get healthier and fitter, right?
These
the effort.
Old patterns existed in your life for decades, for most of you.
Yeah.
What makes you think making a change for a few days or a few weeks or a few months or even a few years, y'all, is going to make it you just naturally only want to do these things now?
Yeah. I love the Usain Bolt.
What?
Meme. Have you seen that? He trained for 10 years for 4 seconds.
It's true. It's true.
Right?
I've trained for 10 years for the 10 minutes I'm going to get on stage.
Yeah. That's a really interesting thing, guys. Part of the shift of what I'm dealing with has been, for 12 years I've been coaching. I have to figure out who am I?
And what do you want next?
As Coach Bronson, coaching people versus educating and writing and speaking.
Oh.
My identity and how I present myself and the things that I'm focused on and what I'm doing. I want to bring myself to a different level. So this is where the master's degree is coming in. This is where spending some time focusing on doing some other things. I may get more into some scientific research thing. I mean, I've got a lot of things that are, for me, from a education experience, credentialing, I want to bring things up to a different level so that when I do flip it around and come back out, it's not just Coach Bronson. Maybe it's something else Bronson. Maybe there's something else going on, right? That down the road can be more impactful, because you cannot go from point A to point B in your journey and be successful. When you get there, if it's a straight line, when you get there, you're not going to be ready for it. Right? You have to grow with the process. You have to grow with the process. And in order for you to grow with the process, some things get worse, some things get better, some things get worse, some things get better.
And
you got to spend some time over here, figure this out.
It's going through it that develops who you become on the other side. And that's what matters more than getting to whatever that goal weight is.
Yes.
Or whatever that stated goal is.
Right. It's like the lottery winners. Such a high percentage of them go broke or bankrupt after they win millions of dollars. They've got no experience managing that kind of money.
Your old identity is not going to hold on to the results you get
if you don't
change. That's it.
You have to go through these things.
What was your post the other day about change?
The reason you haven't changed is because you haven't changed. Right? So that's some stuff that I'm going through, is trying to kind of refocus, re-identify. So there's been less social media. This is the only video right now that I'm putting out that's new content consistently on YouTube. I have a weekly newsletter that I put out. If you want to sign up for that, go to my website,
CoachBronson.com.
And that's about it. I'm in my Discord server, which anybody can join. It's free. People have questions or whatever. They post that stuff in there. I'd love to get that thing going more and have more interaction, engagement there. But that's it. If you want any coaching, guys, go to my website. I've got a link for accredited coaching. This lady here, Cuta Bikini Academy, and Michelle Hall, if you know her, Primal Life or Primal Health. She has a program as well. Both of those links are on my coaching. So if you want coaching, I can refer you to people, but I am not doing any coaching anymore. I am doing one-on-one coaching. But if you want to coach with me one-on-one, you better want to do it. You better want to do it.
Premium rates,
okay?
Y'all.
Not just that, but it's a 6-month commitment,
You're
going in. If you're not all in, don't even call me. So outside of that, it's going to be work and school. Those are the two things I'm focused on. And this lady, work and school and that. That's it. That's my focus for a while.
And not acting on all the new business ideas. And not acting on all the
new ideas that
There's another good analogy here, right?
Oh my God.
He has now clarified, right? But he has clarified, he has reflected, and he has clarified the goal and the priority and what it's going to take to focus on that priority and what he needs to step back from. But guess what happens? Every few hours of every day.
Few hours?
New idea, yes. New ideas that he could put as the new priority that he wants to act on, right? This is very much like you all with your emotional brain telling you, okay, I committed to my diet. Ooh, but we're going out this weekend and I could get XYZ.
Squirrel.
Ooh, but I could have a refeed meal or a cheat meal but
all the justifications.
This and that happened, right?
What did I do this morning? The idea that I didn't even start with the idea when I was telling to her. I started with the justification for why this was a good idea.
And I was like, so what are you trying to say?
Right? And she called me out indirectly. You did a good job. You did a good job of that. She's like, what are you saying? And I had to confront the fact that I was having an idea that went against what I said I wanted to go.
Which would derail where he's trying to go.
Right.
So you can't just let these momentary, impulsive decisions or impulsive choices or, those things get in the way.
It's an interesting thing. Impulse in exercise science is a change in speed.
Ooh.
So you can think about negative impulses or positive impulses. Is the change that you're making in the momentum that you have going to help you or hurt you? If you're not making momentum, you need to have a positive impulse to move you forward. If you're going too fast, and this is where I've been for a long time, spinning my wheels, doing all the things, but not really getting exactly where I wanted to go because I was doing too many things.
Spread too thin, yep.
Right? And the effort does not equal progress. You can be doing a lot of things.
Oh my gosh.
Right?
Courtney posted a comment earlier about a podcast about being addicted to stress.
Oh my God. Yes.
The need to be busy.
Yes.
And this is something we've talked about before, the
I don't know. It's so hard for me to just sit. Even when I do. So I've been playing a lot more video games lately.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what else to freaking do with myself.
He has to be doing something.
Right?
Yes.
Oh, look at 6 black birds. Just a whole bunch of birds.
Oh my gosh, a bunch of little birdies are like sitting on our balcony.
Yeah, guys, I don't know how to just sit.
I've been pushing
not
him
do
on this
something.
because, yeah, Courtney mentioned this. And she's like, yeah, you got to do it. It made a big difference for her. This was the game changer for me. When I left my 9 to 5 and started my coaching business, and I was petrified of becoming an entrepreneur. And that's when really my eating disorder cropped
Which
up.
was so silly because she's killing it.
But that's when my eating disorder cropped up. And there's a book, and Courtney, I don't know if I've mentioned this book to you before. I know you'll probably love it because of this topic we're talking about. But the book is called The 5 Personality Patterns. And it is not one of those personality type books. It does have 5 different patterns that you can identify in yourself. But what it's teaching you is the patterns you learned to go into when you were in trauma before you even really developed like conscious awareness. Like when you were under 4 years old. These are things that you did in response to trauma. I use the quotes because it doesn't need to be like an intensive acute trauma, but a lot of things when we were 3 years old were traumatic for us because we did not have that reasoning yet, and that logical brain wasn't developed yet. So things felt traumatic, and we would go into these patterns. And then as adults, you're still going into the same patterns when you feel stressed or overwhelmed or any of these like traumatic feelings. And for people like Bronson and Courtney and me, before I learned to identify this in myself, it was the pattern I think is called the rigid pattern. And I don't think the name does it justice. What it's really talking about is you put things in place to be doing something. You cannot sit still and be with yourself and be with the thoughts, which is the thing I always push everybody to do. Because when we're going to food, y'all, everybody who has this need to be eating, when you do not need to be eating, your body does not need the food, but you turn to food, that's what I was doing with my bulimia. I couldn't just be still. I filled the space and the time in my days with food and then purging. To the point where I never had to be with that stillness because it was uncomfortable. And there were things in that stillness I was afraid of experiencing. Feelings, thoughts, emotions, reflection, decisions. I hate making decisions, he will tell you.
Guys.
Playing cards with him.
Oh my God.
Yo, we've been playing Rummy. It's like our new chill night thing to do.
First of all, I'm a patient man. I'm also a little ADHD and have had to work on becoming a patient man.
Yes, and you're still not there, but it's okay.
I'm
also not a decision maker.
She's not a decision maker. The frustration that I hold back when we're playing Rummy and she's looking at her cards and she's like, I don't want to get rid of any of these cards. We might have this. She's literally thinking the whole process out loud.
Anxious, y'all. I don't get a lot of anxiety in my life, but when I have to make a decision, as simple as which card to discard.
It's so funny. It's kind of cute. It is a little frustrating sometimes, but it's also kind of like,
he loves my facial expressions.
She's hilarious.
Wrenching inside to make
Courtney said something about the book 2. So I said yes to book 2 for a week and then said no after finishing that podcast. It's a really good point that I want to call out because it's another aspect of what I have to remind myself that you help me remember at times is my project list of ideas, my idea list of projects is never going to get smaller. And there will always be something for me to go back to when I'm ready.
It's there. It's going to be there.
None of it's going anywhere.
It's not going anywhere.
So understanding that whatever, and this is a different topic. This is about seasons now.
Yes.
We're talking about there is a time in a season. You may realize today, I'm not willing to do X to get Y. And that's okay. Because maybe you have A that's got to get you to B, and that B is more important than Y right now.
And maybe there's something you need to go through.
Right.
That in the future will be the thing that drives you to go all in later.
On the other thing, right? So understanding that priorities change. It's okay. I don't care how long you've been saying, I want X. If something else comes into your life and you're like, holy crap, I really need to be focused on this right now for whatever reason, and X will happen, but it can't be my focus right now. This has to be my focus. Then change your focus. It's okay.
Here's a good example of that, right? I haven't gotten on stage for 2 years. My last show was in 2022, around the same time of year. So
it seems like it was yesterday.
2 years that I have not been on prep, that I have not been trying to lose weight or body fat. Because, y'all, if you spend your entire life, women, halfway in and halfway out of a diet, guess what's going to happen the next time you want to go all in on a diet? Your body is not going to want to let go of that body fat.
Yep.
Because you have been on a roller coaster. But if you took 3, 4, 6 months, a year to just decide to live at maintenance, to not try to lose more body fat, to not try to eat less, and then you decided to go on a diet to lose body fat, you would be shocked how easily your body drops that fat.
Yeah.
Because you taught it to be safe for a while. Mm-hmm. But you have been keeping your body stressed, your mind stressed with this on and off shit. Sorry, y'all, if anybody's...
Well, here's another, I'm going to flip that a little bit and give you another example. What if you stopped everything with your diet, just found something that was comfortable and maintained, and spent 6 months just focusing on fitness?
Well, and that's what I mean, really, is this...
Right? There's one... The idea of I'm always on a diet, and then I have to add this. I have to add this. Why can't we maintain one thing and then just add it? You were talking about something. You were saying one of the things we want to talk about was how all these things can change in my life or your life, but there are certain aspects of our life that just maintain. Right? I'm going through a lot of change right now. I just started a new job. I'm 3 months into a new job. My master's program started not even 3 months ago. I started a new job in a master's program the same week. FYI, that was fun.
This is the kind of stuff that he does.
Right. And making these changes business-wise. We've traveled. We have more travel this year. Guess what hasn't changed? The way that I eat and the way that I work out.
That's what I wanted to make sure.
The priority of my sleep.
Yes.
Guys, those are just static. The other things that I change and the other things that I deal with do not impact what my baseline function is. This is how I live. This is how I work. This is how I eat. This is how I sleep. There's no question about that.
Yeah, you don't throw
I don't throw all that stuff out just because I'm stressed on this, on something else.
Well, and that is because for years,
yeah,
you were all in on your diet when you first changed
because
your
that
diet.
was the season that I needed to be in.
And before that, you went all in on fitness.
Yep.
So he went all in on fitness until it just became a part of who he was and what his life looked like. And that was no longer new or difficult or different or painful or challenging for him to maintain. Then he added nutrition. When things were not going where he wanted them to go with his body and his health, he added in nutrition. And he focused on that all in until that became his new normal. And since then, fitness and nutrition have not been a question.
No, never.
They have not been about whether or not you're going to be doing it.
Exactly.
You haven't been deciding whether or not you're going to be carnivore. You haven't been deciding whether or not you're going to train.
No.
You might decide what might change within your carnivore lifestyle or what might change within your training. Mm-hmm. You've done lots of different styles of training over the years.
But I'm always going to train.
But it's not a question of whether or not it's going to happen. Right? If I decided that all I was going to change in my off season or my on season for my preps was diet, and I just decided not to train anymore, do you think I would improve season to season? Would my body change? Absolutely not. Fitness training has to be constant in all seasons for me. And for anybody, if you want to be able to maintain your results, it can't just be from diet.
No.
You're going to gain and lose the same 20 pounds of fat every year.
And over and over again.
That we see all the time in this space.
Yeah.
And why is that? Usually because number one, there's no fitness element beyond maybe walking. And then two, you're deciding if you're going to be keto, if you're going to be carnivore, if you're going to eat healthy or not.
Yeah. Well, we're going to segue a little bit because there's something.
Yeah. And you're going on and off of a healthy lifestyle.
Yeah.
Establish the healthy lifestyle. And then within that, you can play with seasons. I play with carbs in my different seasons. Sometimes I bring them up, sometimes I bring them down. But does that mean I'm eating crap and then I'm going back to healthy food? No.
No. Not totally different topic, but kind of a side topic to something you just said. Just clicked something in my brain.
What did it trigger for you?
The reason some of you are struggling is because you're putting too much weight on one aspect of your lifestyle. Nutrition isn't going to solve all your problems.
100%.
Medicine, just like we say, medicine isn't going to solve all your problems. This one thing, there isn't one thing that's going to fix everything, guys. No matter what anybody tries to sell you, no matter what anybody on the internet says, the truth of the matter is there are aspects of your mind, your food, and your body that need to be addressed, as well as the practical things that you have to change in your daily life. There are routine things that need to change. There are relationships that need to change with yourself, with other people, with your work, with your tasks. There's a whole bunch of relationships and all the different ways that we have relationships with things and people. That's a whole, there's another book.
Like to say,
there's another book that we can write.
You are the magic pill.
Yes.
There is no magic pill but you. You and the way you think, the way you act, the way you behave, your habits, all of those things, right? Yeah. If you hate being active, I'm sorry, but you simply cannot go on a diet to get to your goal weight and then stay there.
And be healthy.
It ain't gonna happen.
Yeah. You can stay at the weight, but you ain't gonna be healthy.
You're probably not gonna stay at the weight, honestly.
Well, I'm just saying.
Without being
the
active.
argument of technically you could do, yeah, sure, okay, and you're gonna have all kind of other problems. But it is very also unlikely that you stay at the weight.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've said a lot, kind of all over the place, but I think just in general, the title of this was "Coaches Are People Too," and I think one of the messages from this talk that I really, really, really want people to understand is that it doesn't matter who you are, how far along this process, whatever the process is. My process is different than your process. My journey is different than your journey. It's different than Nat's, and Nat's is different than yours. We're all trying to do something to improve ourselves, to improve ourself, the people around us, our lives, whatever, make an impact. Wherever you are in that journey, the challenges you face are all going to be similar. They may not be the same thing functionally, right? I'm talking about changing the details of them may be different. I'm talking about changing from not having to feel obligated to post on social media every day, where you may be struggling with tracking your macros. Right? The ideas behind those are very similar and we can approach them the same way. I've been through the challenge of tracking macros every day. Now I do it when I need to and I don't when I don't, but I'm not stressed over it either way because I've been there.
And you had to reflect on, okay, what was the goal, right? This is what we started out with, so I want to bring it back full circle, right? If you're struggling with doing the actions that need to be done to make the change, reflect on the change that you're seeking.
Yeah.
Right? When he sat with the thought of, well, what would it mean to me? Is it important? How important is it to me to become an influencer?
Oh.
To have an audience of hundreds of thousands on social media? Is that the goal? Is that my overarching, do I really want to be going there? If the answer had been yes, then he would have to grapple with the stress or overwhelm or whatever you want to call it, because I hear y'all use those terms all the time, of showing up on social media every day, hiring people to edit and all of that.
Learning
catering,
the algorithm.
I told him, catering to the algorithm. You know, you may not want to deal with the BS in your mind of what it would take to get there, but somebody who really wants to be there
is going to do it.
Is happy to deal with that BS, and they're not going to be calling it BS.
Here's a practical way to figure that out.
Okay.
Okay, and this is just, I love how you say things that trigger stuff in my brain. Look at someone who is in the place you are trying to go. Watch what they do and ask yourself if you are willing to live that life. I look at people that are influencers, and I know, and I watch what it takes. I've met many of them, and I've spoken with them, and I talk to them, and I see what they do, and the focus and the time that they put into it. F that. Because here's the thing, guys. The process is the thing, not the picture at the end.
Ooh.
We get stuck in our mind. I want to be like Coach Bronson. I want to be like Coach Nat. Yeah, you can do that, but you can't do this until you do what we've done. And if you're not doing what we've done in the past and in the present, what we're doing now, you're never going to have what we have from a health and fitness perspective.
Yeah.
If you want the thing, you have to do the things. Okay? They are not inseparable. You cannot separate them. So wanting the goal without wanting the work. And I'm saying that specifically. You can't want the goal and not want the work and expect to get the goal. You have to want the work.
Okay.
If you don't want the work, then you don't really want the goal.
And you know what else? Another revelation I had in my process of going all in on this show and doing the things that I had the resistance toward. What changed for me, what really helped shift it, especially with this more recent posing, was I watched the Dubai show the other day. I watched the FMG Dubai show. I watched the caliber of athletes. I watched the way they posed. I got excited by it. And I was like, oh my gosh, if I want that, I need to practice what they're doing, right? They didn't get there without posing every day.
Right.
And before, when I was getting into the cardio, I was watching other athletes post about their cardio. And I had a coach years back who said, don't be outworked. When you get on that stage, when you don't want to do your cardio, think about what the other competitors are doing.
Yeah.
Are they doing it? You don't want to get to stage and find out that you cut corners where everybody else, they're all doing it, right? So you can think about like what he just said. The people who are where you want to be are doing the work that you're not willing to do.
For your analogy, you want a crown, you got to do what the person that wins the crown earned that crown.
Let me tell you, when I watched that show, my eyes went to one person in each category. And where my eyes went is the person that won that title. Do you think I'm looking at what anybody else on that stage is doing to hone what I want to do? I'm only looking at the champions. What did she do for her posing? What did she have that they didn't have? I don't want to be like them. I don't want to be like the person who came in 10th. Why would I even look at them? I'm looking at where I want to go.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, guys, that was a lot. That's what's going on with us.
So if you want a more in-depth on what's going on with me, you're going to have to watch my prep updates. Because I've been sharing all the details, the data, everything on my prep updates. I've done 5 now, I believe, on YouTube, on my Keto Bikini Secrets YouTube channel. I'll be doing the next one this week.
Okay.
And my plan is to do 1 per week now that we're 3 weeks out from the show. So there will be 2 more and then peak week. And then I'll do an update after the show and I'll show you what happens at the show.
Okay. Yeah. And like I said, guys, if you see less of me on social media, it's not because I'm giving up on social media. I'm not giving up on being in the space. I still have speaking gigs next year. I still have things that I'm working on. I'm just taking a little bit of a hiatus, not even a hiatus.
Not really.
Just a
He's
step
allowed
back.
to post if he gets
I'm allowed.
inspired.
I'm allowed.
Yes.
Did you just say that?
You know
Are
what
you allowing me? Yes.
There's a term I learned called inspired action.
Yes.
Because if you're trying to force the actions,
it's harder, for sure.
Yeah, it's going to feel like an uphill battle. But that inspired action, when you get this, I have to post this. You had a couple of
Here's
days
the difference. You know the difference?
What?
And this may help you guys too. How to tell if you really want to do something or not. And I don't mean the action, I mean the goal. If you really want the goal or not. How to tell if you really want the goal or not. In your check-ins, when you're talking to other people, if you say, I have to, instead of I want to, or I'm going to.
I see this all the time.
To do this.
I need to do blah, blah, blah. I just
you don't
have
want it.
to.
You don't want it.
I'm going to tell you right then, you're not going to do it. You're going to come back next week and say, and the check-in is going to be, I didn't do what I needed to do.
Because here's the difference between I want and I am going versus I have to or I need. I have to or I need is an external expectation that's been placed on you. Yep. You have not created it for yourself.
You have not decided.
You haven't decided. There is no internal drive to do the thing.
It's a non-committal phrase.
It is a I'm being forced to do it. You are that 10-year-old who's got homework that they have to do. Now, if you love science and you have a science project, we have to build a volcano, and you're like, oh, this is going to be so fun. I want to do that. I'm excited about doing that. I don't have to do that project. But if I hate English and writing papers, and I get told you have to write a whole 3 paragraphs, and you come home and you're like, I have to do this. Picture that in your head.
It ain't gonna happen. There's
You're
no
the
way
10.
It's gonna happen.
Picture 10-year-old you.
You're already rebelling
doing
against
that.
it
You're
in your mind.
rebelling.
When you're using that
Absolutely.
language.
That's it.
Yeah.
So a lot of you guys are in that place.
Language.
A lot of you guys are in that place. Do you really want it? And as we always say, if you decide you don't, that's okay. It's your life.
But just be honest with yourself.
You will resolve so much stress and anxiety in your life when you start doing the things you actually want to do. Now, I know we were going to end, but we're going on. For some of you, you may not be feeling the pain of where you are right now physically, and you feel like you have to do something to get better, but you don't really want to because nothing's really whatever. Okay, decide. I'm not going to try to do this anymore. I'm taking a break. I'm going to stop eating the way I've been doing. I'm going to stop working, whatever it may be. When you do feel the pain, now you understand and you're at a different point further down the road. Maybe then you're ready to say, I don't like this. I do want this. I made the decision before knowing what it was going to take. I know what it's going to take now, and now I'm willing to do it.
Yep.
Sometimes you got to step away to realize you don't like that. I want to go this direction now.
But I'll tell you something.
Right?
If you find yourself in that loop over and over
That's
and over again,
yeah.
that it has to be 50 pounds later you've put on, and now you feel, oh, I hear these, here's the words. I feel disgusting. I feel gross. I can't believe I let myself go. I'm so disappointed in myself. I'm so mad at myself. I hate my fat. I hate myself, blah, 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 right? And then you start again and you burn out in 4 weeks. And now you're deciding, oh, I don't really want it.
Your goals are...
It's bullshit, y'all.
Yeah.
You're lying to yourself.
Yeah.
This is why we say you have to be honest. What do you really want? Juliana mentioned, I sometimes say I have to because I know it's what my future self wants and needs.
There's a difference.
I love that because
yes.
I have a practice
Yes.
I ask everybody to do, and it is your big why and your big why not. It's the future you in a year or you could go 5 or 10 years if you want. Think ahead to the future. Where do you want to be? And most people have a hard time connecting with that. So if you have a hard time connecting with it, start with your why not. And that is what pain am I trying to escape? What do I not want? What's the opposite of where I would be in a year if I don't do what I need to do? 50 pounds later, right? Back to where I was when I felt gross and disgusting and all those things. You have to put yourself back in that pain.
Yeah.
And when you can recognize, when you can pull those, I always say, like, pull those two things back out and look at the difference, right? Where you will be if you don't do what you need to and have to do, and where you will be if you did do the things. Because if it's new to you and if it's challenging you, you're probably not gonna honestly want to do the actions.
Right.
So you have to connect with, do I want the future that the actions are helping me to create, or do I want the future that the opposite actions will create in my life? And you've got to make yourself present to that daily. Not just when you fall off the wagon, pull back out the why not again, because now you're going to be on that every month, back and forth, back and forth.
And I'm just, everything she said, I'm just going to correct one thing. We don't fall off the wagon.
You jump off.
You jump off.
Willingly.
If you're off the wagon, it's because you made a conscious decision to get off the wagon.
Start saying to yourself every day, I'm choosing this.
Yeah. Ooh, I like that. I'm choosing
a client
this.
of mine said, when I said that on a video, she said, whenever I was going to the cupboard to look for a snack, I was saying, I'm choosing to be chubby.
Yeah.
Because your actions are proof of what you're choosing for yourself. You're either choosing your current reality, you're choosing your past reality that you don't want to be in anymore, or you're choosing your future reality that you want.
Yeah, everything is a choice. And that's why I say, your freedom is your choice. If you want to get where you're saying you want to go, then it's going to be built on the decisions that you make.
What are you truly choosing by your actions?
Yep. Actions speak louder than words.
And it is all within your control. You are never out of control.
You have the power, guys. Go do something with it, and we will see you next week. As always, if you have any recommendations, we want to hear from you. Topics, things you want to talk about, questions.
Struggles.
We get stuff from clients and people on social media all the time, but you guys are our regular listeners, which we want to say thank you. We went to 2 conferences the last this month,
last 2 weeks.
At every conference we had numerous people who we didn't even know were watching say, "Oh my God, I love your coffee talks. I watch your coffee talks, etc." So, thank you very much for watching. We appreciate it. It makes us feel good to hear that feedback that you guys are getting stuff out of this. So, we'll see you next week. Have a great weekend.
Bye.